The so-called gig economy is about to get a big makeover.
The Labor Department just imposed 300 pages of new regulations
that could see millions of American workers reclassified from independent contractors to regular employees.
I'm told this will help freelancers recover lost wages and support a family.
This is one of President Biden's most important priorities, which is to make sure that one job is enough to sustain a family.
But wait, didn't leftists notice how similar rules in California made it harder to sustain a family? The law destroyed jobs. I reported on that 4 years ago when media claimed freelancers like Uber drivers were being abused.
This driver has a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old, but says he hardly gets to spend any time with them.
I have to work every single day, more than 10 hours, 11 hours.
So unions pushed for a new law. It passed.
Make sure that the 1 million independent contractors in California get the wages and benefits that they deserve.
Assemblywoman Gonzalez wrote the law that dictates millions of freelancers must now be hired as employees. Gig workers win historic victories, said the media. They'll get benefits they need, like a minimum wage, overtime, sick pay. Politicians said this will help freelancers a lot.
You're thinking you're helping us, but you're not.
Freelancers like Ari Herstand say this law hurts us.
This law was written to help the little guy. I'm the little guy. I'm a musician. I'll play a gig at a venue in LA, and I want to hire a drummer, a bassist, and a guitar player, $200 each. Now, before, I just cut him a check for $200. Now, I actually have to take that drummer, put him on payroll, W-2 him, get workers' comp insurance, unemployment insurance. I have to pay payroll taxes. I also have to now hire a payroll company. Not only that,
if he works for someone else,
I'm gonna have to be an employee of that music venue when I just play there once.
Having a good one? Yep.
The law targeted rideshare companies like Uber and Lyft. Politicians claimed the companies abuse drivers. But now many drivers are upset by the law, saying, I like being independent.
I don't want a boss to tell me when or where to drive.
This is my favorite pastime right now. When I get into an Uber or a Lyft, I ask my driver, what do you think about this new law? They're like, oh, well, I'm a recording engineer, I'm a photographer, and this is my 4th side gig. Like, I want to do this when I want to do this. And if now I'm an employee and I'm W-2'd, they're going to dictate my hours. I don't want that. The reason I do this is for the freedom and the flexibility.
But the lawmakers say, we know better.
When you have to take a side job or a 3rd gig or a 4th gig, that's not flexibility. That's feudalism.
No, but we want to. You're preventing us from doing what we want to do.
It's not something that we need or we even want. We want to leave it the way it is.
The law upset truck drivers, too.
Dozens of independents who own and operate their own trucks drove around the Capitol protesting the bill.
Their protest won them an exemption from the law. These other politically connected professions got exemptions, too.
I've been trying to work out a cleanup bill to give the music industry an exemption from this law.
Oh, you get an exemption then, and the truck drivers get an exemption. Right. Why is that good law? Exception for who's ever clever enough to get to the politicians.
It's definitely not the solution. Can you just write us out of this law and help us out? Here's some money for your new campaign, for your next campaign. Like, no, that doesn't seem like that's a way to kind of legislate.
No, it doesn't. But that's how it's often done.
Democrats want the rest of America to copy California's law because they say freelance work
is exploitive, abusive, it's a scam.
I don't feel like I'm being taken advantage of by anybody.
My choice, not yours.
Neither do these dancers. They got in the lawmaker's face about it.
I work at a club. I have a choice.
I know.
I work at a... Who are you?
When Gonzalez lobbied for the law, she didn't mention jobs that her law might kill.
My choice, not yours.
But she did say,
it preserves our current union jobs.
It's been rumored that the unions pretty much wrote this law and handed it to Assemblywoman Gonzalez and said, hey, pass this.
AB 5 is backed by labor groups who want to unionize gig workers.
Help workers survive!
At first, the media were also big supporters of the law. Gig workers win, said Vox. But once the law passed, Vox Media cut hundreds of freelance jobs.
They were expecting that all of these companies were going to reclassify their contractors, they're independent contractors, as employees. In reality, what's actually happening is they're just letting them all go.
What do you have to say to those freelance journalists, those independent contractors who were working and have now lost their jobs because of AB 5, your bill?
First of all, it wasn't a job. These aren't jobs. These are freelance positions that may be 3 hours a month, and it may be 300 hours a month.
The arrogance of politicians. People chose these jobs. Freelancers like the flexibility. Politicians have no right to say all those jobs aren't good enough. Gonzalez would not agree to an interview, and now that there's a backlash, neither would the unions or any of the 75 law professors, political scientists, and sociologists who signed this letter in support of the law.
They're embarrassed that they made this huge mistake, that they supported something.
They aren't taking it back.
Well, there are politics at play, unfortunately. And
no politician wants to admit he did something wrong.
Exactly. No politician ever wants to admit that they did something wrong.
California's musicians did eventually get an exemption, and California voters approved
Proposition 22,
which exempted Uber and Lyft. But even with those exemptions, freelancers still lost jobs. And it's not like most got jobs with benefits. Labor force participation fell too.
People have lost their jobs. People are leaving the state. Employers are saying, I'm sorry, I can't hire you. You're from California now.
Yet now the Labor Department's forcing the rest of the country to be more like California? President Biden wants to go even further.
Pass the PRO Act for workers' rights.
The most significant worker empowerment legislation since the Great Depression.
The PRO Act would reclassify the workers the way California did, but without the exemptions. Why is Biden doing this? Because unions want it.
I'm proud to be the most pro-union president in American history.
Once again, politicians team up with special interests and take away our freedom. Here at Stossel TV, we're libertarians. We just want government to keep the peace and then leave us alone.